Hey everyone, it's the Duck Says Hi. I don't know if this is going to be a bad idea recording with this mask or a good idea, both from the recording and from my own sanity and breathing. There's my cat in the background. Most importantly, though, I want to talk about Roth IRAs. Okay, so what other duck is going to be explaining to you financial advice? None of them. So, firstly, I want to talk about this. So, with $1 to start, you throw in $7,500 a year, you let it ride at 8%, which, by the way, the S&P has historically done around 10%, so I'm being a little bit conservative here, adjusting for inflation. And in 32 years, you're sitting on over $1 million tax-free, and that's not even an hypothetical, that's just plain old math. And tons of people are sleeping on this investment vehicle. So today I'm breaking down Roth IRAs, and I'm going to tell you what I've personally done with mine because I've had one since 1 month after I started my career. So let's get right into this. So firstly, let's just go over the basics. Roth IRA, okay? So IRA stands for Individual Retirement Account, and the Roth part, it's actually not an acronym, it's just named after a senator who helped pass it back in 97. That's it, nothing fancy. And so here's the deal. You take money you've already paid taxes on, you throw it into this account, you invest it, and it grows completely tax-free. When you're old and you pull it out, no taxes. Done. That is the entire thing. A traditional IRA is kind of the opposite. You get a tax break when you put the money into the account. But then the government comes knocking when you take it out at retirement. With a Roth, you're basically telling the IRS, hey man, take your cut now and leave me alone forever. I'm going to take out my gains at retirement age. And if you're younger and not making a ton of money, that trade is heavily in your favor. Your tax rate right now is probably way lower than what it will be later, so let's go ahead and lock that in. By the way, nothing is special about opening these accounts. It's fairly trivial nowadays. You go to any online reputable brokerage like Fidelity, Schwab, Vanguard, those are my top three, and then open one. Takes like 15 minutes, guys. The limit for 2025 was $7,000 a year, and now in 2026 it's $7,500. And if you're 50 or older, you can actually do catch-up contributions with a little bit higher. And no, you don't have to dump it in, by the way, all at once. You can contribute monthly, bi-weekly, weekly, whatever works. Just get your money in there. And remember, guys, just because you're putting the $7,500 into the Roth IRA in year 2026, that doesn't mean it's automatically invested, obviously. So you need to pick reliable ETFs or stocks. If you don't know anything about investing, I would say just throw it into VOO and let it ride. Your future self will absolutely love you. Now, one thing that's really cool about the Roth IRA that tons of people don't actually know about, and this is hence why it's called the Roth, you can pull out your contributions at any time. But remember, just your contributions. There are no taxes and no penalties because you've already paid taxes on this money you contributed. The growth though, the earnings of course, that's got to stay in there until you're 59 and a half, and the account has been open for at least 5 years. Otherwise, you're looking at taxes and penalties on that portion. So here's my story, okay? The first month I graduated college, I opened a Roth IRA. I didn't overthink it, I just did it. I didn't wait until I knew more about investing. I just opened the dang thing and started putting money in. And for the majority of the time since I opened that Roth IRA, I've maxed it out every single year, even when it wasn't comfortable to do so. I basically treated the Roth IRA as if it was a bill, as if it was yet another expense that I had to meet, because to me, that's just doing myself a disservice if I don't invest in that account. That mindset made it absolutely automatic. And of course, that money I put in during those early days has had the longest time to compound, and that's the stuff that's grown the most. That's the whole game, time in the market. Starting early gave me a head start that I literally can't go back and replicate. You can't buy back your time. So I've been ranting about this Roth IRA, but I just want to issue you one last thing here. If you're watching this and you haven't even thought about going to Fidelity or haven't even thought about opening one, just stop overthinking it. Open the account, put something in. Even if it's not the max, just start. So this account is once again obviously different from your 401k, your traditional IRAs, and other types of retirement accounts. The tax-free growth is the obvious thing here. Your money compounds and the IRS doesn't get any piece of it along the way. Over decades, that gap between taxable and tax-free growth gets stupidly big. We're talking potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes you just don't have to pay. By the way, there's no required minimum distributions. So with a traditional IRA or a 401k, the government will actually force you to start pulling money out at 73, whether you need it or not. Roth IRA? Nah, fam. You can let it sit there forever, pass it to your kids if you want. The government can't make you actually touch it. By the way, it also doesn't mess with your other retirement stuff. When you pull from a Roth in retirement, it doesn't count as income. That means it's not jacking up your taxes on Social Security. It's not pushing you into higher Medicare premiums. It's like ghost money. The IRS doesn't actually see it. So I just want to harp on the tax diversification point one more time, because this is one of the most underrated. If every dollar you have for retirement is in pre-tax accounts, then every dollar you pull out in retirement gets taxed. Having a Roth at least gives you some options. Some years you can pull from your 401k. Some years you can pull from your Roth. You can manage your tax bill in retirement instead of eating whatever the IRS feeds you. Oh, and the flexibility, of course. I already mentioned that you can pull contributions out at any time. That's a safety net should you feel the need to do that. Now, I wouldn't recommend pulling out your contributions prior to retirement because, once again, we want to let this thing compound over time. But knowing it's there makes it way less stressful to fund. It's not like some accounts where your money is locked in a vault until you're almost dead. So one caveat here is that the IRS does impose income limits with the Roth IRA, and this is where some people can get tripped up. It's a great problem to have though, and don't worry, there are mitigations. So I also recommend for the 2026 tax year, you go ahead and look up what these income limits are, because there's also a progressive phase out. So as you make more and more money and as your tax bracket increases, you actually get phased out to where sometimes you can only invest a portion of the payment, to where then you can't invest anything at all. And of course, for the married filed jointly, it's typically double what that of the single was. And remember, when you're thinking about the income limits, that's not just your salary. This includes any side hustle income, bonuses, capital gains, anything like that that can push you over. You might think you're under the limit based on your paycheck, but be careful, you'll have to actually take it back out of the Roth if you've already funded it, and that gets very annoying to deal with during tax season. The limits will also change from year to year, so if your income is climbing, which is hopefully it is, keep tabs on this, because don't get surprised at tax time. So if you're like me and you make too much for the Roth IRA, what do? How do you contribute to this thing? Well, fortunately, it's pretty straightforward. You put after-tax money into a traditional IRA, so no deduction, you're not trying to get this one. Then you convert that traditional IRA into a Roth IRA. That's it. The money goes from one account to the other, and now it's growing tax-free. Completely legal loophole. People have been doing this for years now. And that's what I do now. My income is past the point where I can contribute directly, so I tax loophole this thing every year. It takes me 15 minutes and it's an extra step, and it's really not complicated. But before you jump into this backdoor Roth, I do recommend working with a tax professional because there are certain caveats to this. The reason this is so clean for me is because I don't have any pre-tax money sitting in other types of IRAs. So no traditional IRA with old contributions, no SEP IRAs, no simple IRAs, nothing. My IRA slate is completely clean. That's what makes this super easy just to convert over from the traditional to the Roth IRA without any other type of weird tax implication. This matters because of the Pro-Rata Rule, because basically when you do a conversion, the IRS looks at all your traditional IRA balances combined. If you've got $50,000 of pre-tax money in a traditional IRA and you throw in $7K after tax to do a backdoor, well, you can't just convert that $7K cleanly. The IRS treats it proportionally. A big chunk of that conversion becomes taxable because of your existing tax balance. It just gets nasty and messy. Would not recommend this if you already have traditional IRAs. But once again, since I have zero pre-tax IRA money, my conversion is completely clean. I put in $7,500 into the account for 2026, or at least I will do this, and then I'll just remove it and completely convert everything over and hopefully have zero incurred interest on any of the money that I had. Now, if you've got pre-tax IRA balances and you want to do a backdoor Roth, it's not impossible. Some people roll their traditional into the employer's 401k first to clear the slate. That's the kind of thing where you should really talk, like I mentioned, to a tax professional and make sure you're doing it right. Do not wing that process, okay? Not worth it. So one quick note for the homies like me who are currently married and actually are the sole income for the household, you can still fund a Roth IRA for your partner. It's referred to as a spousal Roth IRA. It's a separate account for your wife, not joint. As long as you file jointly and the working spouse, so me in this case, earns enough to cover both contributions, you're good. So that's $14,000, for example, in 2025. if you're both under 50. 2 Roth IRAs maxed out instead of 1. Don't leave that money on the table either if you're in my situation, because I am actually guilty of this. I completely forgot about this in my first year of marriage. So the first mistake that I've seen with people who open Roth IRAs, and I'm already saying this again, it's that they open it, throw in a bunch of money into the balance, and then don't actually invest it into the stock market. You would not believe how common this is. Please do not just leave your money to sit there and earn interest, which is like, by the way, 0.01% or even something astronomically low like that, where it's not even worth your time. You may have just thrown it into a CD or a money market. The number 2 mistake is more of a psychological one, but that is just waiting. And you'll hear people say, oh, I'll just start again next year. I need to learn more first. I don't have enough to max it out, so what's the point? Just stop, man. Every year you wait is a year of tax-free growth just gone. That's not what you want. You don't want to get held back here. I started month 1, and I'm telling you that head start matters more than anything. So number 3 for the Roth IRA are the income limits, because I've already harped on this video enough. But if your income goes up, you get a raise, maybe you pick up a side gig, and suddenly you're over this limit, and you didn't plan for that. Oopsies, now you've got an excess contribution problem. Know where you stand before you contribute, or at least try to guesstimate where you will be. So number 4, do not default to a traditional IRA without thinking. Some people just go traditional because that's what they've heard of, or they want to make the tax deduction now. But if you're early in your career and your tax rate is super low, you're almost certainly better off with the Roth. Pay taxes now while they're still cheap. So number 5 is hitting the income limit and just giving up like I did. This is a mistake that I made because I didn't take advantage of the backdoor because I wasn't sure what that meant. So some people make too much, find out they can't contribute, and then just stop. Please investigate the backdoor to see if it's reliable and a good method for you, because chances are if you're not already funding any other types of IRAs, this is pretty simplistic exchange come tax year. You can even do it yourself, and I can link resources in the description for it. So that's it, guys. That's the Roth IRA. I started mine my first month of working, maxed it out for the majority of that time, and now I backdoor it because my income is just past the limit. It's been one of the best financial moves I've ever made, and this is not even close. If you're not using this account, you are leaving tax-free money on the table. Simple as that. And now if this was useful, drop a like, subscribe for more straight-to-the-point finance. The duck, if you like the mask, let me know. If it was more of a distraction, then I'll take it off next time. Actually, I probably won't. I'm trying to hide my identity, I'll catch you in the next one, guys. Peace.